Months ago, I put out one of the primer videos, everything you need to know about the Nancy Drew series. I think it may be, by far, one of the worst of these videos in terms of performance, but I am happy with it. Because I really enjoy that series of point-and-click adventure games, and that's the whole point behind the Everything You Need to Know video series. I just want folks to know about these wonderful video games that hold a special place in my heart. Yeah, I'm sappy like that. In that video, I mentioned how the development for the next game had me hopeful, that the developers, Her Interactive, seemed to be doing everything right, at least in terms of audience engagement. They had puzzles and hints hidden inside their newsletters and social media posts, even in their YouTube videos, which the fandom, of course, gobbled up and delved into with an unmatched fervor. Now that the game has finally released, Nancy Drew Mystery of the Seven Keys, I played it from its release day of May 7th, 2024, until I finished it a couple of days later. And if I have to sum the experience up in a single word, it would be exemplary. If I have to use a sentence, it'll be a return to form for the series and the developers. But if you'll allow me to elaborate, then I can tell you everything you need to know about Nancy Drew Mystery of the Seven Keys. The first thing I want to point out is the quality of the visuals, which are an improvement by leaps and bounds over those of the previous title, Midnight in Salem. This game looks good, really good. Character models are great, animations are smooth, environments are actually based on real-life location and are pretty accurate. And while it's not photorealistic, it's a colorful visual style that works wonderfully for Nancy Drew. Mystery of the Seven Keys follows what is now a very common Nancy Drew opener, with our fearless detective receiving an offer of work from somewhere in the globe, from someone in desperate need of help. In this case, it's from Prague in the Czech Republic. The opening cinematic of the game even having a great narration that introduces Prague and its mysterious and even mystical fame to the audience, well, to you. Our client wants some jewelry back. A prized family heirloom has had some of its original gems replaced with fakes, and that's where Nancy comes in to track down what happened. Talking and snooping around the client's friends, acquaintances, and everybody who may have had even a moment with the heirloom in question, including a merchant website of all things. But in true Nancy Drew fashion, this is only the beginning, as a plot involving the nation's prized treasures, its history, its dealings with alchemy, and the eponymous Seven Keys slowly comes to the surface. Of course, I won't go into detail because I want you to experience this mystery for yourself. And what good mystery, what good point-and-click adventure game, and even more so, what good Nancy Drew game would be complete without puzzles? There are plenty of puzzles this time around. Again, a return to form for the series and Her Interactive, and honestly, even though I love the series very much, there are entries with some questionable puzzle design. But I can't say the same for Mystery of the Seven Keys. The puzzles are all great, very well designed, and every clue is there for you to find. Sure, you may need to do some deduction, the answer won't always just be around the corner, but generally speaking, it's just a matter of observing and applying logic. So, just like a detective, pay attention. And this sense of paying attention extends to the progress itself, where you're very much dropped in Prague to your own devices. And it's up to you to figure out who to talk to, where to go, and what to even do. Yes, for me this meant I had to run around a lot to try to figure out the next spot to continue my investigation, but I loved every moment of it. I'm very much against a game holding my hand and telling me where to go, especially when it's an investigative game like Nancy Drew, so this was right up my alley. One last thing on the mystery and the plot is how well it integrates with local history. You can tell that Her Interactive did the research. Hell, there's an entire museum in the game with lots of real factual information, and some of that is key to solving some of the puzzles. I think that's awesome. It anchors the experience in a real-world location, and I think a lot of people after playing this game will want to go running around Prague, and I'm one of them. But speaking of running around, this is the first title in the series to actually include both classic first-person control scheme, where you click on the environment and move to the next frame, and a full roam mode where you WASD your way through Prague. Of course, I played it in free roam because I wanted to try it out. And the only downside of the free roam mode is that it does expose a bit how empty some of the locations are, in terms of NPCs in particular. but considering there is much set dressing as every other object, it's not really an issue. But I will say that Her Interactive did some curious and clever things with the positioning of some of these extras. For example, at night, most of the people around are standing on their lampposts or sitting on benches, and they all seem to be couples. While you're out and about solving mysteries and poor Ned is back home, the couples in Prague are using the nights for some good old-fashioned romance. Or at least that's what I read into it. I enjoyed the characters very much, loved how delightfully shady everybody seems. It helps in keeping the culprit from being too obvious until you're very close to the end, a must for a detective story. Voice acting is really good in Mystery of the Seven Keys, and I love that the dialogue includes bits and pieces of actual Czech, mixed in with the English, so it's not just people with funny accents. And that's perfectly accurate. With how much of a tourist attraction Prague is, the people in the city speak English fairly well. Or so Google tells me. But what makes Mystery of the Seven Keys a must-play beyond everything else I've very much gushed about is that Her Interactive seems to be setting up long-term narrative for these titles. I don't want to spoil anything, but I'll just say that Mystery of the Seven Keys may be building a rogues gallery for Nancy to contend with in the future. And that, above all, is truly exciting, especially for a storytelling nerd like me. I can't wait to be back here in the future doing a deep dive into the Nancy Drew lore, because Her Interactive ends up building a full arc. I'm excited for that, and so should you. Now the only thing we need is for Her Interactive to once more release Nancy Drew titles with a little more frequency. Because with how wonderful and entertaining I found Mystery of the Seven Keys to be, I need more of this. I need more Her Interactive. You hear me? I need more, and soon. Don't leave me hanging now. I truly recommend you go now and play Nancy Drew Mystery of the Seven Keys, and then come back and tell me about your experience. I'm dying to discuss this game with someone, anyone. So dare to play and have fun in Prague. See you on the next one.